Monday, you brought up that exact point, but Republicans did point to and described DA Bragg as having soft on crime policies. When he took office back in 2022, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg announced his office wouldn't prosecute certain low-level crimes, and he is an advocate of a controversial bail reform, and in turn has been panned as being soft on crime. What do you think of that criticism?
Oh, I think it's an absurdity. Number one, the Judiciary Committee does not elect the DA of Manhattan. People had the chance to hear what his policies were, to hear what his understanding of the law is and how he would administer the law. Again, not the members of the Judiciary Committee. But this soft on crime nonsense, you hear that from the folks on the other side of the aisle in our committee. You heard it yesterday in their questioning or testimony. Soft on crime? How is it that they could not support universal background checks? How is it that they could not support supplemental funding to the Capitol Police following an insurrection incited by the fellow they were trying to protect? How could they not support medals to the Capitol Police officers? How is it that they couldn't vote to support extra screening materials for Border Patrol, border dollars to hire more border agents? They didn't vote for any of that. They didn't vote for the American Rescue Plan that sent important money to municipalities and their police departments. So it's simply not true, the notion of soft on crime. And if there's anybody who's soft on crime, it's all those Republicans who failed to vote to fund our police and to fund better practices.
What do you think then, in turn, is the most important way to curb violence in this country?
Fully staffed police departments with the very best of training toward de-escalation. Some of the monies that we have in the very big bills that we passed around mental health, social services, community violence interrupters. There is so much we can do on so many levels. We have to get at the number of children walking around with guns. We have to get at the illegal straw purchasing and distribution of illegal guns. That we have to work at it from a societal level, from literally the weapon level, from a mental health standpoint, and interrupt this violence. As I said, we are the greatest nation on the planet. We have to get our arms around this issue. I've had the chance to travel to different countries in Europe and Asia. They wonder, they're baffled, frankly. They're baffled that America has not done everything in our power to shut this down, to shut down the slaughter.
Congresswoman, do you think gun violence is the most pressing issue facing the country right now?
Sadly, I think we have multiple really powerfully important issues. I'll list just a couple and it will not be exhaustive. The protection of our democracy is certainly at stake. When we have people falsely using their positions to undermine institutions, which was demonstrated in this hearing, an attempt to undermine independent institutions. When we have a former president whom they continue to protect, who sought to hold on to power by way of violence by American citizens, on police officers, killing some, wounding dozens and dozens of others, and traumatizing thousands of us. So protection of our democracy, you also see the erosion of rights, whether it's women's rights or voting rights. We have a serious problem there. Gun violence is another extraordinarily serious problem. I have 4 grandchildren now. I am sickened that they have to go through active shooter drills. What are we teaching our children? Climate continues to be an incredible, important crisis. I'm so proud that we were able to pass some important legislation last year in the Inflation Reduction Act and other bills, the infrastructure bill and other bills. But we can't have that undone. We have to invest those resources to protect the planet moving forward. And the last one I'll mention for this point is the crisis of overdose, opiate overdose, drug overdose, alcohol overdose, but fentanyl poisoning. Last year, in a 12-month period, we lost 108,000 people to addiction or poisoning overdose. That's 300 people a day. We have to get our arms around that. I was just down at the RX Summit with Dr. Gupta and the administrator of DEA. This is an all hands on deck crisis, epidemic in this country. These are public health crises, the gun violence and the overdose epidemic. We have to put the resources to bear and work together to start saving lives.
Congresswoman, I hope you join me and come back to talk about all the different ways you plan to tackle all of these issues. But for now, thank you so much for this really important conversation.
Brittany, I thank you for the chance to have the conversation. I welcome the chance to come back.